Hey everyone, welcome back to the Awaken Your Legacy podcast. Today I have Bruno Damiano. I hope I'm saying your last name right.
Yes,
Damiana. Am I saying it right?
Dominiani.
Dominianni. Okay, I said that totally wrong. I practiced it before this and I practiced it really wrong. But anyway, Dominianni on
Okay.
the podcast, and we actually met in at a retreat, at a plant medicine retreat, and we both live in the same area and serve pretty similar like clientele. So it was really interesting how that came together and came to be. But before we jump in, Bruno, can you just share like what your business is, like who you serve, and just a little bit about you?
Yes. She said, my name is Bruno Dominianni. I'm located in North Scottsdale right now. I have a personal training business, so I work with clients on a mostly on a one-to-one basis, doing personal training sessions. A lot of it's lifestyle clients, strength training, business owners, entrepreneurs, high-level executives, high achievers, basically. You know, uh, we work a lot as business owners, and we tend not to work as much on our health. So I'm that person to hold those people accountable so that they can go back and show up at a high level and take care of their teams and the people they're responsible for.
I love that. A question just kind of popped up as you were talking. When you said that you are like that person for them, who was that person for you on your journey? Like when you were getting into it, who was your like sounding board or your accountability partner?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess from the very beginning, when I first got into fitness, I got in it out of necessity. So a lot of people that come to me, they have some issue going on, whether that's health or whatever. They need that accountability. It's a necessity for them to make a change and take back control of their health. So in the beginning, it was a friend of mine that knew how to lift weights and knew his way around the gym a little bit, so he was kind of my accountability to get going. And at the time, he was, didn't have a car. So I was his accountability to get him to the gym physically. So we kind of helped each other to the point to where, I stalled out and I realized, I'm starting to know more than my friend about the gym, but, I'm reaching this ceiling. I'm getting injured in the gym. I don't really know what I'm doing, but, I made a lot of progress. I started lifting weights. I weighed about 107 pounds. I was just skin and bones. I put on about 30 pounds of weight. And like I said, I reached that plateau, and I knew I had to take things further. So I sought out another friend of mine that was actually working as a personal trainer, and then he kind of became my accountability for learning more. And then mentioned I should get certified. I could stop working my restaurant jobs. I could actually work for myself and coach people and take things to the next level. So I think in the beginning, immediately, it was who in my circle around me is doing what I want to do, and then spending time with that person, and just growing from there. And then also later starting to realize, okay, I was never someone that enjoyed school. I always tell this story. It's probably one of the greatest stories. When I was in kindergarten, my very first homework assignment was to cut out a letter out of like something that started, let's say, with the letter A out of a magazine. So like, the first homework assignment was cut out things in a magazine that starts with the letter A. The next day it moves through the alphabet. And that first day I came home, I told my mom the assignment. I said, this is stupid and I'm not going to do it.
Oh my God.
So I think it was more of like, I wasn't being challenged, right? I was never challenged enough in school. I didn't enjoy it. So it became hard for me. And then I fell behind. And then, I adopted this limiting belief of, okay, you're not going to get good grades. You're not going to go to a good school. You're not going to get a good, not going to have a good career. And then realizing after working with, my in-person mentors that now I'm going to have to take on the responsibility of, self-education. And then it turned into books. So it wasn't like directly, I wasn't directly being mentored by people in person. It was, now social media is a thing. There's all these social media influencers that are motivational speakers, or they write, books on personal development. So then I really started to accelerate at a faster pace because now I was, learning again. And it was easy for me. So
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of how it started.
Wow. That is so interesting. I love hearing stories like that because there's so many different types of people that are entrepreneurs and they come from so many different backgrounds. And for me, it was like the opposite. Like I was really good at school, like almost too good at school. But in that same energy, like it still wasn't challenging enough for me. Like it was like, okay, this is easy. Like what's next? Like what happens now? Like you guys don't have anything else for me. So it became like it became so easy that I got kind of like complacent and I
Yeah.
got kind of like lazy because I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to take a test. I know how to pass this. And nothing challenged me and nothing was exciting for me anymore. And then what did challenge me was entrepreneurship. That did challenge me because I'm like, oh crap, like the book smarts aren't going to do anything really here in terms of like, you really need to know yourself as an entrepreneur. And it taught me so much more than like school ever did in every single way.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
yeah, but that kindergarten story. So
Yeah.
wait, did you not do the assignment?
No, I did not do it the whole year. My mom did my homework for me so I could pass.
Wow.
And I think the next crossroads was, first day in high school. They sit everyone down. They hand you a piece of paper. They say, okay, these are the different, career paths you can go to college for. And I'm looking at the sheet. I look on the back. I raise my hand, like, is there another sheet? Because I don't see anything on here that I want to do. But I didn't have the awareness or the understanding of, okay, there's a different path. You can make your own path.
Yeah, I love that. You were like a little rebel, basically.
Oh yeah.
I love that. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. Not fully, but like a little bit. I like to ask this question because I love to hear the responses from it. So there's a phrase that I have, and you've probably heard it, but there's a phrase that I have and I use really often. And I'd like to hear like your just gut level response to this. And the phrase is, you're a human being, not a human doing. So what does that mean to you in your life?
um I guess you're constantly you're being or you're becoming different things, right? You're not just showing up and doing your life. You have to be where you are, and to get to the next level you have to become something else. And as you said, you learn so much about yourself, but there's work involved in that as you level up.
Yeah, yeah, constant growth, constant work. Um, I actually want to go back into the plant medicine piece of it all because that's obviously how we met, but
Yeah.
also like your journey with it and how it's worked in your life and how it works in your daily life. I mean, you are gearing up to go to Peru, which we just talked about offline off the podcast, and you just coming back from Rhythmia, which is a center in Costa Rica. I have not been. I've been to Costa Rica to do plant medicine, but I have not been to Rhythmia. But it's a center, for those that don't know, for plant medicine and healing in Costa Rica. And then we, a few months ago, met at a plant medicine training. So tell me about like, before all of this, what your journey was with healing, with self healing, even if it wasn't starting with plant medicine, and how it kind of led to where you are now.
Yeah, so I think the healing starts through those struggles. You reach a point, you reach a plateau where you might be observing other situations around you that are where you want to be. People are doing the things you want to do, and you kind of have to reverse engineer how to get there. And you can show up and grind out your business and grind, but eventually you grind yourself into a dust. And you have to accept that you got to do there's other work, right? You can be successful in this area, but what about the work that you have to do with yourself, the spiritual work? And I think it comes in the right time, and when you feel called in that direction, whether that's like through religion or some sort of group or network that you're a part of, or if you find this, we call like our spiritual family. A lot of these people that I've met have introduced me to more people, and that's brought me to different mentors and just exploring those groups of people and making those connections and expanding out just it's like a domino effect, but you gotta show up and do the work and figure out what part of the grass needs to be watered.
Mm, I love that. What part of the grass needs to be watered? So, when you're saying like show up and do the work, how did you begin to show up and do your work?
So it all began with my fitness journey, out of the necessity of, rehabilitating my health. And I really feel like the exercise and the nutrition aspect of, developing yourself is obviously it's rooted in discipline. Most people don't like to work out. They don't like to make the right choices in nutrition. They have to learn how to work out. They have to learn about nutrition, and you develop a very strong foundation of discipline in that, and that discipline is what starts to compound over time.
Have you always been disciplined, or is it something that
So
you?
yeah, that's funny you bring that up because I feel like since I had to make changes out of necessity, and I think this comes from most people, when you have to make changes out of necessity, it's easier to become disciplined. But
Hmm.
it's interesting you bring that up because I've thought about that, and I feel like a lot of that discipline came from other things. And I think that comes from other things that you're passionate about that may not be related to why you need to change at all. And for me, that came out of music. So, growing up, I was a musician, I played the drums, and that's sitting down with a metronome for hours at a time, just doing repetitive things over and over and over and over again. And that's why I feel like it was a little bit easier for me to become disciplined with nutrition, because I know what it's like to have to set aside 30 minutes every day in practice, and I know what the results look like, the compounding results when you do something like that. So when you're not getting results with your nutrition or your exercise, you can use that reference point and just be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like get where I want to get in one day, but I know that if I put the time in every day, it's gonna compound and it's gonna work out.
That is really interesting. I like felt like there was something else there, but I couldn't like pinpoint it. And then when you said music, I was like, oh, that's the thing for him because everybody has their thing. And I didn't know that that was your thing. So that was like really cool to hear. Do you still do music?
You can probably see my keyboard in the background right there.
Oh, yeah, I do see it.
I've got drums and guitars and amplifiers and recording equipment. It's all packed away in a garage right now because I'm in an apartment, so I can't make a whole lot of noise.
Yeah.
There was a point in time in my career in the fitness industry where I stepped away from the fitness industry with no intentions of coming back, and I enrolled myself into an audio engineering program in Gilbert, Arizona, and I really didn't have intentions of taking that career path long term. I just needed to get out of the fitness industry. I was burnt out working for corporate gyms and the type of people that run those places, and it wasn't aligned with me, and I just felt lost because I was climbing these corporate ladders, and I was there to help people, and they're there to make money, and obviously there has to be a bridge there, but there's just not always decent human beings working in those corporate gyms. They're kind of like car salesman type people. So I went back to school, and for the first time I was getting straight A's, and I
Wow.
didn't need to study, and I did my homework last minute, and it was just, if I was interested in it and I was being challenged enough, all I needed to do was pay attention in class, and I got straight A's.
And this was like school for like your music stuff.
So this was an audio engineering program. So it basically encompasses anything audio related, whether that's recording in a studio, like audio video for like home theater systems, live sound, broadcasting, anything that has to do with audio. They basically, introduced you to those concepts and showed you the tools. And then the idea is that you get an internship out of that, and you move to a big city, and you work very, very long hours, and you grind and grind and grind until you get somewhere. And I knew that was going to remove me so far from my fitness that I would would not be happy. I would not be healthy. And uh,
Yeah.
I understand you have to pay dues, but that wasn't something that I needed to do. So I ventured back into the fitness industry through a company called First Form that they're basically a supplement company, but they
Mhm.
really reinforced personal development in a sense of community and showed me there are good people in the fitness industry. And then I found a business coach, and that's kind of how I got set up into the position and building my own business now.
Yeah, that is like such an interesting journey. And I love that you took that time out to really like just, it sounds to me like get back in tune with your passions, like get back in tune with
Yeah.
like the things that really, really bring you joy. Although fitness does bring you joy, you were just like doing fitness in a setting that
Yeah.
wasn't good for you at the time. And I feel like that happens a lot in different ways for people in terms of like breaks from corporate, like people will take like years off and never come back. And then some people will come back. But um, I wanted to go down this route with you of like the passion side of things, but more so how you now at this point have found balance, because it seemed like it was out of balance when you were in corporate and then you were pursuing your passion, but you knew that this wasn't exactly where, like, this wasn't it. And now you're at this place. So do you feel like you're in balance right now? And then if so, how did you achieve that?
Yeah, I would say I'm aligned with where I'm supposed to be. Um, I think balance is a hard thing to obtain. I mean,
Tricky.
my typical schedule, like tonight, I gotta get to bed as soon as I can because I gotta wake up at 3 a.m. I've got clients in the morning. I might have a chunk in the middle of the day where there's free time to do other things to work on the business rather than work in the business. But then it's right back into sessions in the evening. So it's like a rush to bed, rush to wake up. So, I'm in the process of creating a better balance there so that I don't have to rush to go to bed and rush to wake up because you can't sustain that for a long period of time. So right now I'm building an online training platform so that I can coach people remotely and move my schedule around where I'm not stuck to that AM PM split schedule where you're kind of limited if you're working with people in person at a gym setting.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the transparency around like just being honest. Like, look, right now I have a lot going on and I feel like I'm aligned, but maybe not necessarily in balance. And I feel like that's really good to hear for everyone listening. And just as an entrepreneur myself who has that kind of balance thing going and that alignment, and that it does fluctuate and it does flow. Like for me, it flows.
Natural progression, right?
Yeah.
Like
And,
you level up and then the scales tip and then you got to figure out different systems to balance them and then you
right.
level up and the scales tip and it's
Right. It's an ever like evolving, we are ever evolving beings, so it's an ever evolving process. And I think that's something really key to note for anybody that is listening, is that no matter where you're at, there's always going to be another level, there's always going to be that tipping of the scales, and we're always changing. So what we need at any given moment can be different. Like what I needed 2 weeks ago may not be what I need today, what I needed a year ago may not be what I need today. But I do appreciate you for that vulnerability with that. And when you were talking about like the rushing a little bit, which I think we all can relate to, like that feeling of like not enough time, that rush. What do you do in terms of your like self-care routine right now, that helps you to find that calm, that slowness? You know what I mean? That kind of takes away a little bit of that rushing energy that we can get.
yeah, I think you have to set up a morning routine and realize that that morning routine starts the night before, because if you don't if you don't get to bed at a good time, if you don't set up, your day in the morning, if you don't have a list of like 5 tasks that you have to get done, if that's not written down and you wake up in the morning and it's not there, it's easy to get distracted. I mean, it's easy even if you have it written down if you forget to look at it and cross those things off. So you have to plan and prepare ahead. You have to.
Yeah. So what are like two of those five things for you that you like absolutely, no matter what, has to happen for
Yeah.
Bruno?
So I guess that first one would be writing down those 5 critical tasks that you have to get done. I have you can't see it down there. I have a small little red infrared light that I'll sit in front of in the morning. So, waking up and going to bed at the same time. Sometimes I'll do like grounding. So, shoes off, socks off, find a grassy place, or, somewhere there's earth, there's dirt to stand on, breath work. Those would probably be a few of the things that you have to do. Obviously, exercise, you have to make time for exercise. Maybe I'm not getting good sleep. I can't get the type of workout that I want to get in, but if I just go for a walk, whether that's on the treadmill or go walk my dog, AM, PM, you have to, it could be small. It could be wake up at the same time, make your bed, drink a glass of water, write down three things you're grateful for, write down, what you have to get done. It doesn't have to take a long time, but it has to be done every day because you build up momentum and you build up confidence in yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you don't do it and you get behind, you lose the momentum, you lose the confidence. So it's better to have something small that you can get done in 5 minutes or five things in 5 minutes than something that might take 6 hours, and some days you don't get it done, and then you lose confidence, you lose your momentum.
That's so big. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because that's been like such a major theme that I've been talking about in like client sessions and just like lives and things like that is that the little steps are the big steps. Like your daily choices make up your life essentially, like your routines make up your life. And that's something that is one of the simplest things, but also one of the hardest things for people to do, especially people that, have a history of chaotic environments and have a history of all kinds of things from their childhood that, their life was chaos. Like I had a chaotic childhood. So for me, routines are so important because when I'm not in routine, it's so easy for me to slip into the space of chaos. And for those that can relate to that, this is why, like the little things, like you said, the 5 minutes, if you can get things done in 5 minutes, but do it every day, it's going to do more for you than trying to take 3 hours to do something and then doing it twice a week. So that's huge. That's really huge. I
Or
would love,
maybe it's rules, standards and expectations you live by. you
yeah.
know have to wake up at the same time, do not check your phone until you get those five things done, things like that.
Yes, the phone thing is huge. The phone thing is really big. For me, that's one of my non-negotiables in the morning. I do not check my phone until I've done my like morning schedule, morning routine. If I feel like I've slipped because, we're not perfect, I feel like I slipped, what I'll do is I will actually shut off my phone, put it in a different room, and then wake up naturally. And when I'm done, then go get my phone and then turn it on. So I set up like these barriers of entry. It's there's another way that it's called activation energy. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it takes more energy for me to go in the room, turn on the phone, bring it back in, wait for it to turn on. Like it takes more energy to do that. And by the time that I get up to even want to do that, my brain is already like, wait, you said that you were going to do XYZ first. So
Yeah.
why are you even getting up to head to the other room? So there's all these like training wheels almost that if I feel myself slipping, which happens, just being a human, that I'll do. Sometimes you got to put the training wheels back on. And then when you're back in your normal flow, then you're like, okay, I'll take them off. I can have the phone in the room or on the other side of the room without the temptation there. So, yeah, non negotiables in the morning for me. One of them is cell phone for sure. For sure. Do you have anything that's like a non negotiable?
um I have to work out at least 3-4 days a week. That's super important. For me, also, like nutrition wise, I have to hit my protein goal for the day. That's easy now because I've done it for years and years and years. um, One big one could be just drinking enough water, making sure I'm getting close to a gallon of water every day, because you don't realize it, you get tired, and your mind gets cloudy. You drink a glass of water, you're like, oh, I feel like $1 million now, you know so you have to be drinking water. Who you allow into your space, if there's family, friends, doesn't matter what your history is, you don't owe them anything. You don't have to be available to everyone all the time. That's not fair. And if you're working with clients and things aren't working and you can't help them and they can't help themselves, you're doing them a disservice to continue to drag them along. And if you're taking money from them and trying to service them or whatever. Like, cut those things off when you need to cut them off. Don't be a people pleaser to everyone, because you're not, it doesn't work in the long term.
Yeah, yeah. You've said a couple of things about like kind of surrounding integrity so far,
Yeah.
and being like a huge thing. And I want to talk more about it, but I have to be respectful of our time. So we'll talk more about that just between you and I. But I would love to end this with two things. One, if you could share just a word of wisdom that either you've gained through the years or a mentor has shared with you, or just something that you can leave with everyone. And then two, what you have coming up and where people can find you, whether it be your Instagram or your website.
Yeah. So one thing that I heard a good mentor of mine say, um, happiness is not a place. Happiness is a system that you put in place.
Mm, I like that. I
Right?
like that.
A lot of that, a lot of that ties back into the discipline of things,
Mm,
and, I'm really busy right now. It's hard. It's up and down. I'm usually really consistent with my Instagram. Um, you can find me. It's kind of hard to, to spell it out. So basically, it's the name of my business, 100 to 0, and it's got an underscore in between all those words. You can find me on Instagram. Like I said, I'm building an online coaching platform where I can coach people remotely with exercise and nutrition. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me. Um, through Instagram. I also have a website, 100to0.com, and the whole idea, the whole concept of 100 to 0 is, running the score up 100 points to 0. And it's not like against people per se. Obviously you want to compete, but you want to have that dominate mentality, but it's running the score up against yourself. Don't make those compromises.
yeah, I love that. Thank you for like elaborating on the 100 to 0, because that's where my mind went with it, was that it's like against yourself. So I really love that. And everything will be in the show notes so that you don't have to worry about like where was the underscore or where was it or did he put zero or zero. It'll all be in the show notes. Thank you for that. I'm gonna sit with that happiness quote for a little bit and just let that sink in, because it's so in line with what we talked about today. But thank you so much. I always say this
Thank
at
you.
the end of an episode, that your time is a gift, and so thank you for sharing that gift with me and everybody that's listening. Like he said, follow up with him on Instagram, see what he has coming up if that's something that you're interested in. And until next time, here's to your long lasting legacy. I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.